Good evening, everyone, and Johar. Apin, Kedukezi, Ole, Chibai, Kumno, Uch, Jule, Kamrimo. Greetings from the many voices of India's 705 tribal communities. My name is Swati Sushmita Lakra, and I come from the Oraon community in Jharkhand. Welcome to Tribal's Future, the second edition of Tribal Design Forum's month-long celebration of contemporary tribal imagination. Over the next one day, we will showcase artists, designers, architects, scholars, and knowledge keepers whose work carries the wisdom and spirit of their communities into today's world. This is a space to see, hear, and feel the power of tribal worldviews and to recognize the deep value of indigenous knowledge in shaping a more caring future. Tanisha Phanbuh. We have Tanisha Phanbuh today, who is a multidisciplinary artist and culinary maven from Meghalaya. She is a founder and director of Tribal Gourmet, a platform that showcases the rich gastronomical delights of Northeast India to the world. A self taught culinary expert, Tanisha began her journey at Ek Bar in New Delhi, where her role in guest relations sparked her passion for the food industry and led her to the first Northeast food pop-up. In 2017, she reached the final round of Asia's first women-only food truck competition, Femme Foodies, earning the title Tribal Gourmet from the chef Ranveer Brar, which inspired her venture's name. Tanisha has hosted acclaimed food pop-ups at venues like Olives, Whiskey Samba, the Park Hotel, the Pullman Hotel, blending traditional Northeast flavors with gourmet techniques to create inviting and approachable menus. A top 20 contestant on MasterChef India Season 6 and runner-up on The Hills on a Plate, a GeoCinema culinary tourism showcase of Meghalaya, Tanisha's work celebrates tribal heritage while elevating it from global audiences. Through Tribal Gourmet, she bridges the tradition and innovation, spreading the vibrant culture of the Northeast. So, without further ado, we welcome you, Tanisha. The floor is yours.
Hello, hi Swati. Hi everyone present here today. Thank you so much for joining us. Swati, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I think you've covered everything. I don't think I need to be here now. Okay, so Swati, will you be moderating the session with questions and answers, or would you like me to just go through everything with a little bit of a presentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now. I hope you can see it. Just let me know. Okay, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, we're able to see.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Tanisha Phanbuh. I run this label called Tribal Gourmet, a Northeastern pop-up kitchen. And the reason why I started with Northeastern pop-up kitchen is because it's been 10 years since I shifted to Delhi. I've been living here for the past 10 years. And I realized very early on that there was a general lack of awareness about the Northeast as a whole. And that is what sort of fueled me to want to start something. And it was basically just word of mouth, telling people about the Northeast, what they're missing, the food, the culture. And slowly and steadily, that became Tribal Gourmet. And that has been something that I've been doing ever since. For those of you who want to explore a little bit more after this QR code can take you to my website, to the pages, to my Instagram, and you can follow me, see what I do. So if you'd like, you can just take a screenshot or a shot, and then I'll be moving on. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know and who will probably be watching this video in the future once it's on YouTube, the Northeast is this northeastern part, which we also call it, I mean, it looks like a rooster shape bit of India. Yes, very much part of India. And we have seven sister states, and Sikkim was added later. So that's considered the one brother state of the seven sister states. We have Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Arunachal, Nagaland, Tripura, Mizoram. And we are sandwiched between Bhutan, Bangladesh, China, Myanmar on one side, and the rest of India on the other side. We have, of course, a mix of plains, hills, and usually a sort of very tropical, wet weather sort of climate that is mostly what it is, except for the plains areas. And that definitely dictates a lot of what we eat and why we eat when we eat. We'll get to that in a bit. So, like I said, starting off, it was just basically my aim to just, talk to people about the Northeast, explain, educate people. Because, in our history books or geography books, we don't really feature much on it. Um, that sort of led me to be in the food industry. So, starting off after my class 12, I actually joined NIFT Delhi. Design was first on my list, food was also first, but probably second on the list. I wanted to see where I would go and what, how destiny would lead me there. So, I went to NIFT first, but unfortunately, I got sick, I dropped out. And so then I turned to what brought me comfort, which was food. I would always be cooking a lot alongside my mother since I was born, pretty much. And baking and cooking with her was always something comforting. So I turned to food when I didn't know what to do after I had, given up on this dream that I had dreamt my entire school life. So, in the food industry, I wasn't exactly sure because I did not have anybody I could seek guidance from as to what to do, where I should go, or anything. And I just decided that I'm not much of a studious person. I do not want to sit and study. So, I decided I just wanted to learn on the job. And I somehow, this sort of fell on my lap that Egg Bar was just opening. A friend who in turn asked another friend who knew that Egg Bar was opening and that there would be an opening and told me to go for it. And I had like a 5 minute interview and they accepted me by like the next coming Monday. And truly, Egg Bar is the place that opened my eyes to a lot because although everything that I learned in food was from my mom's teaching, her cookbooks, a lot of TV shows, MasterChef, which to this day is the one that gives me the main inspiration when I feel like watching something that will inspire me or lift me up on a like dark day. It's not something like a Friends or something that I watch. I just go back and rewatch MasterChef episodes again and again. And although I had done all of that, I had never actually experienced what creative cooking can be until I came to Egg Bar. And the day I walked in, I saw the menu done by Chef Sujan, and that was truly a trailblazer of its own at that time because it was the first ever modern Indian kitchen and bar. Modern Indian cocktails started from there itself. And the moment I saw the menu, my mind was blown because I was like, I never want to leave this place. I want to understand how chefs think about menus, how they think like this, how one ingredient from one corner of India can be married with something else, can still be regional and hold the sort of philosophies or the structure of how we eat it at home, but make it so international, make it so new, so creative, that people are so impressed by it and it leaves a lasting impression, which it really did because the cocktails there, the food there, even to this day, even though it's been closed for the past 5, 6 years now, people still remember it to this day. And that was a driving force that made me feel like I also want to create food that has an impact, that teaches people things, that is creative, that's true to my roots, but also gives me the chance to play with it and show people what is possible. So, shortly after that, I participated on Fem Foodies, which was my first sort of foray into being on TV, being in front of the camera, and I've never been scared of the camera because I've been on stage my whole life. But it really gave me a push towards thinking about how I can take this platform, because it was aired on a national TV channel, which was Living Foods. That I thought, let me bring my food on this. Let me use this to promote what the Northeast is about. There's no better platform at this time to do it. I mean, Instagram was just only starting back then. Facebook was the only rage. We didn't quite understand back then the importance of social media and what it can bring. So for me, the TV shows were what I thought was, a great way for me to talk about the Northeast. So after Fem Foodies, I reached the finale, but I did not win. After that, it was always there for me to sort of use these TV shows as a means to meet more people, to work with more chefs, to gain inspiration from all the fellow contestants that I would meet, because from all regions of India, and to do my best to sort of showcase our food. And the last one that I did is Hills on a Plate, which is still airing on Geo Cinema. You can still watch it for free. It's a mini series that was made by the government, and it's like a culinary tourism show basically, that combined the best of what we have to offer in terms of like adventure, tourism, and our culinary space, and what we were able to do with it creatively. So that is how Tribal Gourmet sort of came to be made, because on the very first show, which was Femme Foodies, since I was doing a lot of food that was inspired by a traditional food but doing it my way, Chef Ranveer Brar and sort of gave me this nickname of Tribal Gourmet. And I said, chef, after this show, I'm definitely going to go trademark this, which I did. And that is how it came to be my brand. When I came back from that, the owner of the Olive Group of Restaurants, which is AD Singh, he very kindly told me, pushed me rather, to do a pop up. And that was actually the first time I had ever heard of something known as a pop up. And he made me do a pop up at Egg Bar itself, to do my Northeastern food and do like a month long sort of promotion there, since Egg Bar itself used to champion regional cooking, regional food. Okay. Uh, and then I think you might have read the slides, so I'm going to move forward. This is basically the three shows. To the left is Hills on a Plate, that towards the second half of it, like the semi-finale and finale, was also judged by Sarah Todd, who is quite a popular name in the culinary scene. MasterChef Australia, three-time participant, and has multiple restaurants in India also. MasterChef season 6 on the right hand side, and on top is Femme Foodies, which was the full girl gang. And that was a lot of fun because we really were challenged by not just the challenges, but also nature. Cooking on the food trucks, sometimes the wind, sometimes the excessive heat, sometimes sand flying on our faces. But it was one of the best experiences in my life for sure. So, coming to what Tribal Gourmet actually does, um, these are just a few snapshots of the different ingredients that we have in the Northeast. Northeast is such a treasure trove of not just ingredients, it's culture. We have a very rich heritage. Each state has so many tribes. We really have a lot to offer in terms of our cultural diversity, the history, food practices, all of it. And now, after all these years, I can say that it's getting a bit easier for me to be advocating about it, because now that I'd say it's like a combination of things where social media, people traveling, putting it up on social media, reels that have gone viral because of the beautiful like waterfalls, the clear river, caves, all of that, plus a lot of the effort from the government itself, the tourism departments of all the states that have been pushing and, doing multiple micro events everywhere that have sort of brought this awareness. And now chefs too, like all industries, and in food too, there are sort of phases. So there was a phase of like molecular gastronomy that the industry went through at some point. Then chefs started looking to regional produce, regional food. So a lot of chefs that cook creatively at their restaurants sort of went into different smaller regions of India, like Coorg, like Chhattisgarh, and brought popularity for that. Similarly, now they're looking to the Northeast because of just how much there is to offer, and I feel like all of these elements has sort of helped bring a lot more awareness. And now ingredients from the Northeast are also coming on a more regular basis to the metro cities, which makes it easier for people like me to also purchase fresh produce that is coming straight from our homeland, and being able to cook with fresh produce. Because initially, when I first started with the first pop up at Egg Bar, there wasn't much here. Even the northeastern localities that had a few products come in, there was very very less. There was a less spread of things that they could bring. Now we have a lot more, like all of these that come on a bi-weekly basis here. So just to run you through a few things that are on this page. If you start with the right hand side, like pumpkin, some of the best pumpkins come from the Garo Hills, which is in Meghalaya. Manipuri pumpkins, these are really tasty, sweet, naturally earthy and sweet pumpkins that make all the difference in cooking, as opposed to the regular pumpkins that you get around India and in your regular like sabzi mandis. The bright red little plum looking things are tree tomatoes. We use it extensively across the Northeast. It is literally tomatoes that grow on trees, but it has a very fleshy texture, similar to that of like a plum or a eggplant, which is why the Khasi name for this, which is known as sobaying on ding, actually very loosely translates to um, a tomato that no, it's like a eggplant that grows on trees, because the texture is like that. So it is charred, it's burnt, and then it's usually used as a souring agent or a chutney. Then you have the fiddlehead fern. Now, the fiddlehead fern is a little bit more common across the other states of India also, like the northern hilly states, Uttarakhand, etc., also use it. Um, we use it a lot more often, and we also forage them when they are younger. So their tendrils and the veggie, like the sabzis that we make with it, have a lot more fresher, more pungency to it. Then we have things like the beans. We have different kinds of beans that we use. The bottom left one is the famous akhuni, which is the fermented bean paste. We all have versions of the akhuni across each state by different names and with slight differences in fermentation processes. For example, the one we do in Meghalaya, in say the Khasi Hills and the Jainte Hills districts as well, is a softer version, which is why we only consume it in winter, because it's a much wetter, stickier version and it tends to catch like worms if it's in the summer because it can spoil. So for us, that's strictly a winter food. And in the Naga one, you can see it's a lot drier. They also smoke it, so that keeps for longer, and they have it throughout the year. On the top right left is a few sort of greens that we use as salads or put into our stews at the end. And by salad, sometimes it is a mix of other things like with perilla seeds and all of that, but most of the time it's just there on the plate. You chew it and you eat it along with the other food. So, you know how people always say, oh, your skin is so good. Northeastern people have such good skin. That's probably the reason because although people have this sort of stereotypical ideology that we only eat a lot of meat, we actually have a really balanced meal because we always have veg, we have salads, we have chutneys made out of all of these fresh ingredients. We have all of these greens that we just chew, and all of them have a purpose. They're all seasonal, we eat seasonally, they're medicinal, they sort of bring that balance to the body because each of these is like rich in some mineral or some vitamin or the other. So yeah, that's a little bit about the ingredients that we use. Some snapshots of the things that I've created over the years. So, while I call myself tribal gourmet, it doesn't mean that all the food is always gourmet in the creative, modern, wacky sense. Um, because my goal has always been to, share the awareness and share through food, make people know about the place through food. Whether or not they travel, they should be able to get a chance and a taste of what we have to offer. So, in a lot of places, depending on who I collaborate with, restaurants and all of that, who choose the more authentic route, I go the authentic way and serve traditional food as is, which is the center picture on the right top hand side. Um, on the thali is all of the vegetarian sides. I had cooked so much on this day that I actually had to give a side plate of rice and the other stews and dals and curries because there was just so much I had added to the plate. There was no more space. So we have everything from the little salad of squash and perilla. We had black sesame chana. We had rosella leaves that are just cooked down to make like a naturally sour chutney, nothing added. Some spinach, different chutneys that we have, like fermented fish chutney, which is known as the tungtab or the ngari in Manipuri. And we had sawtooth coriander, green chutney, and then just taking you through the you know that those are the traditional items and what I have done with them through the food that I create in the more modernized versions is, for example, on the top left. So potatoes, we love having potatoes with our tungtap chutneys, especially. We love our potatoes in any format, like fried, boiled, mashed. You give it to us, we love it. So I did fried baby potatoes with the tree tomato chutney. And then on the left hand side, the biggest picture is my version of the Assamese fish tenga, and it has a sour tomato cold broth. There's cured fish, so it's like a ceviche, and a little bit of salsa and some coriander oil. This is my version that I've run through my 6 course meal menus, but it's also the dish that I auditioned with for MasterChef India. At the bottom most is a sort of top shot of all of the things that I had made for my very first pop-up, which was egg bar. And since egg bar was a bar, I was told to make bar snacks kind of food, like small plates. And that is why you'll see there are a lot of small plates, the things that are sort of finger food. That is, okay, I can see, do you do pop-ups outside of Uh, I can do pop-ups everywhere. The point of having a pop-up model is to travel and do pop-ups across. So I'm not attached to just one city or one state. I can take it anywhere I want, or anywhere that people give me opportunities. So yes, if you are not from any of the places that I have done pop-ups at, you can please invite me and I'll be happy to do it there. Yeah, so coming back, sorry. At Egg Bar, we also did cocktails that were inspired by the different sort of food. And that is sort of my husband's creation because he is the mixologist. We both are food and beverage couple put together. And we both met at Egg Bar and we got married out of Egg Bar. So that is a very special place for me. So yes, he created these cocktails, and he created the cocktails at Egg Bar also, the modern Indian cocktails. We did a smoked pork cocktail. We did a Bhut Jolokia version of a Bloody Mary. We did a beetle leaf one that still features across my menus, whether alcoholic or non-alcoholic, and people love it. And then on your right hand side, we have again the chayote, which we call squash commonly in Northeast. We mostly like to steam it. I mean, it can be eaten raw also. And we cook it as a veggie. This is my favorite way of eating it, is with the perilla seed seasoning that we use for all of our salads. And on the top right hand side, we don't do a lot of sort of sweets in the Northeast. There are a few, few sweet treats that are made in Assam during Bihu, one or two things in Meghalaya, but we don't really have extremely sweet sweets. Even whatever is sweet, like a coconut or a til pitha in Assam, has very minimal sugar. The rice and everything else it's paired with sort of covers up for that. So my desserts are usually inspired desserts. And this inspired dessert was by um, thinking and considering of um, basically we have this little ritual in Meghalaya where if people are hungry for a small snack, we put flattened beaten rice into tea, let it puff up, and eat that and drink the tea. So this dessert is inspired by that. It is a tea panna cotta. It's got crunchy rice, and it's got so I put seasonal jams depending on where I'm making it, when I'm making it. If it is the season, we have soyong, which is currently in the markets right now. So soyong is our native berry from Meghalaya. It's like a cross between a blackberry, a plum. It's fleshy and sour, and it gives a beautiful red color. So that is what I usually put in it. Otherwise, it changes seasonally. Yeah, and the topmost one, sorry, is a corn cake variation. So when we have corn, the corn season. This dish is actually inspired by if you drive through Meghalaya on the way to, say, Cherrapunji to see the waterfalls and the rain, you'll come across a village known as Millem, which is famous actually for smoked pork. But all the houses there have this little dried corn hanging outside on their verandas. And so this is inspired by a rice cake that is usually comes from like the Jaintia Hills, where when corn is in season, they make this corn and rice cake, and there's nothing in it. Actually, it's just corn and rice, and the flavor of the corn is just so sweet because fresh new corn has this sweetness to it, and that's what I want to replicate on a plate, but do it my way. So I have a bar of the corn and rice cake, corn puree, and charred corn salsa. So it's all corn on the dish, and it's pretty tasty, and the vegetarians really love it. That's a vegetarian course on my menu. Uh, Next up, I also do a lot of caterings, and I really love it because I treat it like as it's a theme. and for me to build around it, whether it is for a corporate event or it's for somebody personal. These pictures are all for Meghalayan Age. Meghalayan Age is a store. It's also the department of the Meghalaya Tourism in Shillong that does all of the different promotions and tourism activities. And the store in Delhi has, monthly, bi-monthly events where they showcase different artisans, artists, and that's the theme. And so I play according to the theme and make menus for them, which for me is a lot of fun, honestly. The last one that I did was, in fact, they collaborated with a Japanese artist and did like a Indo-Japanese, Meghalaya Japanese music. And so I did a Meghalaya Japanese inspired food, which I also wrote an article about. You can find it on my page because there are actually a lot of similarities in ingredients between Meghalaya and Japan. Um, Black sesame, the use of the perilla plant as a whole, they use the leaves a lot. We use the seeds a lot. Then there's things like the ginger, the cherry blossoms that are common. So a lot of little things. And these are my little bites sort of thing that I do for catering, and they all inspired by something or the other. And as you can see, I like to think of them as my art pieces. So this is like my favorite selection of photos. I feel like I have not really given up on my dream of being a designer that I initially set out to do when I joined NIFT. I feel like I've only combined them to um I see myself as a artist in the food space as well, where I want to show and make people taste the food that has the traditional flavors, but it doesn't look traditional in looks. It is seeking, flavor, inspiration. I like to take a lot of inspiration from our folk tales, also the Khasi folk tales, and just memories from childhood, doing something with my grandmother, cooking with my mother, Saturday lunches with her and her friends from the different tribes, tasting, eating, cooking with them. I still consult them till today. Is call up, Auntie, can you help me? I want to cook this. Can you just run me through the recipe again? So yeah, I grew up around a lot of food. We are all big foodies. We ate and cooked everything from Khasi food, Jaintia food, Garo food. These are the three tribes in Meghalaya. Manipuri food, Punjabi food, even Assamese food, Naga food. Our neighbors, from our neighbors, Naga food, Mizo food. There were always food exchanges across the fence of our home. Yeah, I've just been in the food, I can say, industry forever. And my love for food has been there since birth. I can only hope that I keep pushing the boundaries and keep pushing for advocating for our tribal food, tribal design through food, our folk tales and culture through food. And yeah, I just hope I can keep doing it, and I have the support and love from people back home, just to tell people, you know, how rich our culture is, and it's really worth knowing about. Um, Yeah, I think that's it from my side of the presentation. If Swati, you can come back and just guide me on what we want to do next. Is there something else?
Thank you so much, Tanisha. I've been drooling the whole time looking at your food. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
thank you for sharing your inspiring journey with
Thank you.
the
Thank
tribal
you.
farming. transforming Northeast India's flavor into global gourmet delights. Your work celebrates tribal heritage with pride, blending tradition and innovation to create a sustainable, inclusive culinary future. We are so moved by your passion. So
Thank you.
now we dive into the Q&A round.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first question would be, what inspired you to start Tribal Gourmet to showcase the Northeast cuisine?
So, like I said, the moment when I moved to Delhi, a lot of people asked me where I was from, and whenever I would say Shillong, it was quite an effort, like two, three more extra sentences just to explain where Shillong is, where Meghalaya is. Meghalaya is a part of Northeast. Northeast is, this whole section in India that most people don't know about, and Northeast is just considered Northeast. Not as different states, not as multiple tribes. So that is what sort of prompted me to focus on this.
Okay. So, what role does storytelling play in your culinary style? And how do you weave Northeast narratives into dining experience with your pop-ups?
So I feel like storytelling is the main part of all of this because I can put food on the table that looks really nice, that tastes really nice, but without the story and the understanding behind it, especially because it is, an unknown or not so popular uh, part of the country, or that the food is not known or talked about in the rest of India. So without the story, it has no meaning. I can put out something that is very tasty or something that is very curious for people, but without me narrating the story, narrating where it's come from, how it's come about, how it's eaten, why it's eaten, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So, what's one challenge that you faced as a chef, and how did you overcome it?
Well, for one, I would need more of me to go around talking at all the tables, but I do my best. Whenever I do any event or sit down dinner, I make it a point to go to all the tables and talk to all the guests so I can get the story across. Challenges wise, I feel like um, getting ingredients here is very difficult. Now it's become a lot easier now that there are supplies, weekly supplies that come to the metro cities, and I'm so thankful for that. It gives me a chance to display and cook with more traditional sort of greens, the different ingredients that come. It is still very difficult to convince people to try something that is so new to them, something very unheard of, or ingredients that they're unsure of. If they're not one with an adventurous palate, that makes it very difficult to coax people. Vegetarians think there's no option for them, but actually there is. It's just the way of asking or seeking things. There is a lot.
So, what's one Northeast dish that you love turning into a gourmet delight?
There's plenty actually. There's so much. The easiest would be, of course, like potatoes, rice, things like that. I try to use a base dish that is traditional. For example, like I said, the corn and rice cake or the black sesame pork, which is very popular in Meghalaya. That's, I think, the one thing that everybody knows with regard to Meghalaya. Yeah, I like converting. Usually what I do is I do a mix. I use something that is more milder, earthier tasting, something that could be familiar but still new, and I convert it to something that is in a new form, but the flavor is still there. And in places where I feel like the audience might be a little bit more adventurous or have a more seasoned palate of a seasoned traveler, Then I include something that is maybe a little bit more daring, I'd say. Something like a fermented fish, fermented soy, using pig brain delicacy, or using, the blood sausages, that sort of thing. So it's really about where and when and how to cater to the audiences, and the menu is sort of planned accordingly.
Okay. So, how would you, I mean, what would you prefer, a pop-up menu, or would you prefer a full course meal? I mean, what is your style?
So I keep everything very flexible, honestly. Like I said, I showed you many different variations of what I've done. So places or restaurants that have more regional setup or like a traditional setup, they often ask me to do the traditional authentic one. So then I do a spread of authentic traditional dishes. And in places that are like 5 stars or anything, their audience is more open to like booking a 6 course meal, 7 course meal, etc. So then I do that. And in places where it's like a little stall or something, then I can do the way I do my caterings, which is small bites, different snacks, etc. So I keep myself very flexible. It depends with who I'm partnering with or who has reached out to me and for what.
Yeah. So, as a multidisciplinary artist, how do you weave your artistic sensibilities into culinary experiences to create a lasting impact on your guest?
So, like I said, I feel like the artist in me is there. It's just taking form in terms of food. I love having vivid colors on a plate. Although everything about my brand and a lot of food, by the time like you cook it and all of that, it tends to be on the earthy palette. But there are always things like the chutneys, the sauces, the oils that have this vivid color. It's the way you treat ingredients basically. And I always like to put 2 or 3 elements on a plate, something that has texture, something that has color, something that is there for a purpose. It's not just decoration on a plate. It needs to make sense, or it needs to add a layer or a dimension in flavor. So yeah, I like weaving or taking inspiration rather from different stories, from folk tales and all of that, and sort of taking out inspiration from it. Like for example, when I did one of the caterings that was themed with textiles and sustainable dyes. Basically, all of our handloom products in the Northeast and in Meghalaya also specifically, they are dyed with vegetable dye, not with chemical colors. So the theme of that event was textiles and the natural colors. So I made colorful food that is from color. Like black rice gives you this purple color, rosella will give you a red color, turmeric, which we use a lot to dye all of our yellow clothing in Meghalaya, and made food with all of these things. So there's just so much to play with food. It's actually, people might think that it's restrictive, but it's not. Just the other day, I went to Lalit Kala Academy, which is the most popular place for artists, right? And I went to see all the paintings, which I hadn't done in a really long time. And I looked at all the pigments and the different acrylics, and the little notes that a painting says of what media has been used. And it reminded me of the days with, because my mom also likes to paint and all of that, she's introduced me to all this. We paint with different kinds of paint. There's oil paints, there's acrylic, there's gouache, there's watercolor, right? And I thought, well, it's not so different in food as well. If I'm using textures of different viscosities, it's also art on a plate. So that keeps me going to be inspired, and to also look at food, and how I can layer these different touch and feel on your palate through the food.
So, how has your culinary style evolved from Igbar to till the time, I mean, when you're doing tribal gourmet?
The tribal gourmet label has been there since day one. It was called tribal gourmet even when I did egg bar. I feel like with all of these places that I have done pop-ups at, because it's in a partnership, right? It can't be just me doing what I want. It is trying to match and marry the place that I'm doing it at, what their food directs. Like I said, Egg Bar was a modern Indian cocktail bar. And so the food style was regional food, but done in a modern way, but also bar snacks. So that was the idea and the inspiration and the sort of theme that was set and how I married into it. So that really dictates what I'll end up doing, whether it's a bar food or a contemporary plate or just a menu, a la carte menu of small plates. Um, yeah, that typically that dictates what I do ideally.
So, what has been your most popular menu so far? Most popular pop-up or your seven-course meal?
I don't think I wouldn't see each any of them as like which one is most popular. I just feel like with every pop-up, I just feel like I'm climbing up one step by step towards this goal of making everyone aware of the food, the culture, and every little event is an achievement for me. I can't say if anything is a favorite, but I can say, like, I've done so many Meghalayan age events till date. And what I like is that there's a new audience every time at the events, and they all always go back saying, we wish you had like a restaurant somewhere that we can come seek this food out again. Or we haven't tasted anything like this before. These are just little things that really make my day that even in a small sort of setup where I'm only catering to about 30 people, it makes all the difference. Even that little bit of making people aware or feel like they need to taste more of the northeastern food is a win for me.
So, how have you been, I mean, transforming traditional Northeast dishes into gourmet while also preserving the cultural authenticity? Because the geography matters and you never know where you get a chance to do a pop-up. So, how do you preserve the cultural authenticity wherever you go?
Um, see, I'd say about 50% of the menu that I make is based off of things that are shelf, I wouldn't say shelf stable, but pantry stable. Things that you can easily keep in your pantry that I have a pantry that I have all year round, which is black sesame seeds, which is perilla seeds, something that can keep for longer. And I cook them in the way that I would a traditional dish. For example, if I was using the black sesame pork in a dish, I would still be cooking it the way I would do it at home. Cook it in the same way in the with the same ingredients, and then once I'm done with it, then I convert them into the modern twist. If I convert it into a smooth sauce, or I then pull the pork and make it into something else. Like I just make sure that the flavor of it, whatever, like I want it to be an extract of the flavor. I just like to play with the form of how it'll land up on the plate.
And what has been the reaction of people about your fusion of food back at your place?
Um, so a lot of people think it's bold to change traditional food. Initially, I was very worried about that and whether it would sort of face backlash. Well, that's always there, whether it's with me or whether it's a chef who has like Michelin stars. There'll always be people who don't get it, who don't like it, or who don't like change. But then there's also more people who will appreciate it and push you and support you for it. So far, I've always gotten good feedback from most of my pop-ups. There are a few who, even after tasting the more gourmet versions that I do, and the gourmet versions actually came about because I wanted to sort of introduce it in a more modern way, or something that makes it easier for people to accept the flavors. There are one or two who haven't taken to it, but that's okay. I mean, it's taken this long for people to start actively wanting to travel to the Northeast, experience it, or ask me to source ingredients for them so they can include it on their menus. It's taken this long, so I'm sure it's going to be a few more years still, but it's getting there.
Thank you so much. And I have one last question to
Yeah.
you, Tanisha. So, how do you envision the future of, the Northeast tribal cuisine reaching the greater audience?
Well, I'm sure in the next few years, right now also there is definitely a lot of travelers who are going to all the northeastern states, all of the states that have the different festivals like Zero Music Festival in Arunachal, the Nagaland Hornbill Festival. Meghalaya has tons of festival. Pretty much this is the season is going to start now. So a lot of people who travel for all of this, um, the word of mouth is always there. And now that Instagram and social media in general is just so strong, that's the fastest and the best way of promoting things. And people are really seeing the Northeast now as a go-to destination. In fact, just the other day, a report came out somewhere I saw in the news that Shillong is the most searched, like place most searched on travel websites, how to get to Shillong. So, like I said earlier, that I think it's a combined effort that in these past 10 years or more, that has been through chefs, through travel, through media, through the government doing different activities, that has really brought limelight to the Northeast now. And this is the phase, like I said, where people are now very interested in discovering this hidden treasure. And so I feel like, yeah, in the next few years, definitely the Northeast is really going to shine.
Thank you so much and wish you all the best for your venture.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for your profound insights, for showing how tribal gourmet elevates Northeast India's cuisine with pride and innovation. By sharing tribal flavors in global spaces, you inspire us to embrace our cultural identities and build a sustainable future. We're truly grateful for your presence today, Tanisha. So thank you so much. Now we will,
Thank you.
yeah, now we will move on to the announcements.
Okay.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
we carry forward, yeah, we carry forward Tanisha's message as we journey together through this month-long edition of Tribal Futures 2.0. So, TDF Bootcamp is coming up, and we are excited to announce that Tribal Design Forum will once again be hosting its annual bootcamp in Wayanad, Kerala from October 4th to 7th, 2025. Now it's in its third edition. The bootcamp is an immersive journey to explore tribal culture, indigenous knowledge, cultural sustainability, and local tribal economy in close collaboration with the communities of Wayanad district. This is a unique opportunity to engage directly with local knowledge systems, learning from lived experiences, and engage ideas that bridge traditions and contemporary designs. So registrations are open now. Register through our official website and join us in Wayanad for 4 days of learning, collaboration, and cultural exchange. We are also excited to share that Tribal Design Forum is organizing a photography contest this year. We invite you to capture the spirit of tribal people, culture, and heritage of India through your photographs. Look around and identify the people, communities, and cultural activities that you believe can make tribal life so rich, diverse, and vibrant. The theme of the theme of this year is Sustainable World of Tribal Communities in India. So we encourage you to bring forward the unknown and unseen facets of tribal life, the traditions, the resilience, and the stories that often remain hidden. So, yes, there are some exciting prizes as well. So, if you love photography, this is your chance to let your images speak and inspire. Tomorrow, we have a session with Green Hub, which will be taken by Satpal Singh and Ritik Dawar at 3 p.m. And we also have Amy Parent, who holds an important position in the Canada Research Chair in Indigenous Governance and Education, UNESCO. So we hope you listen, reflect, and engage with these inspiring voices, voices that carry our histories and shape our future. And we are happy to share that TDF membership is open now. With TDF 2.0, we are expanding into a broader multidisciplinary community across sectors, welcoming tribal professionals in design, education, health, technology, policy, entrepreneurship, and more as of Tribal Design Forum. So you can join as a professional member, as a student member, and if you are from a non-tribal community, you can join us as a patron for TDF. Our focus is on celebrating tribal knowledge systems, fostering cultural and knowledge sovereignty, and building bridges with global networks to work towards a collaborative, ethical, and shared future. More details are available on our website, www.tribaldesignforum.com. So if you'd like to be a part of this vibrant network and journey, we invite you to join us. So see you tomorrow for the upcoming sessions. The event calendar for the month is on tribaldesignforum.com. Tomorrow is the closing day. Please attend and choose the sessions of your liking to discover the world of tribes in transition. Thank you.